Hello and welcome to the CyberLad podcast with the SuperCrew. I'm Josh and with me is Connor today. We're talking technology, security, privacy, and other trending items. And hey Connor, it's Thanksgiving. Are you excited?
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to stuff myself with chicken.
Chicken?
Oh.
Not a not a turkey.
Why not a little bit of both?
We'll get a turducken. Anyways, it's our inaugural podcast and we thought, hey, why not? Let's go consumer here. It is the week of Thanksgiving, and because it's Thanksgiving, it also means it is Black Friday. And with Black Friday means everyone busts out their wallets and goes shopping. I don't know about you, Connor, but anything on the shopping list that you have in mind?
Computer parts. I'm always looking for the best deals to just upgrade my tower.
I thought you wanted to get that new shiny MacBook, though.
No, not a Mac fan.
Shame. I had my eye on that brand new 16-inch MacBook. It looks amazing. And the keyboard felt amazing, by the way, too. Anyways, let's talk what's going on right now in the news, as you would say. I saw something amazing the other day. I don't know if you actually saw it. And it was actually a legitimate looking Office 365 website to check into email. It looked absolutely legitimate and it was absolutely scary. It was scary, honestly, because when I looked at it, I was like, hey, it's using a Windows.net domain. And like, oh my gosh, I know that's owned by Microsoft, but heck, it was literally a phishing site, phishing for credentials.
How did you stumble across that?
It just came in via the spam folder. I just happened to look at work. It's like, oh, this is interesting. The thing is, we don't use Office 365 at work. So it was actually kind of interesting to see that. But hey, who knows who knows? I think the other big piece of interesting news, and I didn't know if you saw this the other day, but Brian Krebs wrote about it on Saturday. It was a bunch of medical groups actually got hit by ransomware via their service provider. And I was astounded actually at that. I didn't know if you caught that. What did you think about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's crazy that many people are being affected. I mean, people are actually putting out this ransomware. And the fact that they're targeting like the medical industry, I mean, that's affecting real people's lives. It's actually stopping all of these medical centers from actually doing their work. And I've read about hospitals getting hit by ransomware, actually having to stop surgeries and then completely shutting down, and everybody has to relocate. It's incredible.
What actually scares me is that we're talking nursing homes right here, and the nurses can't get drug updates and order new drugs for their people who's actually living there. I mean, the consequences are actually rather dire, don't you think?
Yeah, it's turning into a life and death situation. It's almost like they're able to reach out from the computers and actually do physical harm.
And actually, what scares me even more was the fact that these guys actually were in the Virtual Care Provider Incorporated. That's the IT consulting group that does the IT for these healthcare facilities. They were in their computer network for 14 months, at least 14 months. That's just crazy. They were in there for a whole year and nothing became of it. I mean, the firewall failed, the antivirus failed. Kind of makes you go, what happened?
Yeah, it makes you really scratch your head.
But enough with like some of the news. I think the real thing that people are actually really interested in are some of the tips that they should be conscious of while doing shopping, especially this Friday. This Friday is Black Friday. So that means everyone is going to be hitting the Walmarts, the Amazons, the Fry's Electronics, the Best Buys, the Staples, you name it. They're going to be queuing for the best deals possible.
Oh, yeah. And not just this Friday. It's everybody's moving it up, moving around, making their own days. People are doing sales on Thursdays now, the Wednesday night. I mean, you can probably get, I've seen companies doing their whole week of just sales.
Oh yeah, like my inbox today was literally blown up with different deals that have actually started literally today. And I was like, wow, they're getting a huge jump on the Black Friday. It's like Black Week instead of Black Friday.
Absolutely.
All right, so what's your first tip that you have for folks on your list? What should people be mindful of?
Tip number one, if it's too good to be true, then it probably isn't. When you're looking at these sales online, whether or not it's by email or Facebook, if it's too good to be true, or if it sounds too good to be true, then it's just probably not going to be. There's a lot of people out there who will just put up phishing campaigns where they'll just try and get you to click on a link that looks like it's a good sale on whatever hot item selling, whether it's a new iPhone that they're pretending to have discounted or whatever, whatnot. Just be very careful about what you click on, and don't get your hopes up if you see a deal that's just too good to be true.
So, I mean, deals are to be had. I mean, God knows you'll find deals on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, especially with the influencers. But how do you really see the difference? How do you actually really know what's good and real? What are your some ideas that you actually kind of take away and actually try to implement on your shopping habits?
What I usually look at is when I see the ad, if it's using things that like all bold, if they're saying like free or discount or unbelievable, those are usually start to raise some flags. I mean, don't get me wrong, legitimate ads will use wording like that, but it's when they do like the all bold or just kind of something that doesn't look quite too right, that really pops your eye, gets your attention. That's when the red flag should kind of start being raised. And then if it's in the email, you can actually hover over the link and see where it's taking you. I'd always make sure to check the domain before I click on anything, and then see who the email is from. I usually check things like that to make sure it's actually a link that's safe to click on. Recognized sources. So if you have let's say, Instagram influencer, if you've been following them, you know that they've been working with this company and they have an ad going on. That's something I'd say is probably pretty safe to click on. But if it's something that you've never seen them work with and something not related to what that influencer does, like let's say they're working on makeup and it's a like mountain biking ad, I wouldn't click on that.
You know, it's funny you say that because this morning Clippers partnered with Chick-fil-A, and in big bold letters, they were offering a free chicken sandwich if you actually opened or downloaded their app onto your smartphone. So I'm like going, that doesn't help sometimes, because it's like these advertisers just are using the same tricks as some of these attackers are using. They're using literally the exact same playbook. It's annoying, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying it's annoying. These criminals are using the same marketing playbook.
It definitely makes it very difficult to distinguish them. A lot of times with phishing scams, they won't use something like a free burger, because that's actually something tangible. Like you can go down to participating dealers and actually ask for your free burger with a coupon. They usually have something online that's going to require a payment. So that's the next step of once you click on that link, if they have a free deal or whatever, they're never going to ask for credit card information if there's a deal like that.
I'm scared about some of these places that people actually click these days, mainly because the amount of scripts, or depending on the browser you use and everything, could actually be a means to actually downloading ransomware. Ransomware has been all over the news as of late. As we started off the segment, a whole healthcare group got encrypted. They can't get patient data. It could be something as simple as just browsing a web page, and you end up walking away with fleas.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the big takeaway here is essentially we got to be careful. I mean, think very, very hard and long before you click. And it doesn't matter, I think, if you do it on the computer or does it on a phone or on a tablet.
No, actually, mobile adware has skyrocketed a lot, because if you think about it nowadays, that's where people are. People check their email, their texts, their Instagram, Facebook. Everybody does it from their phone. And so we're seeing a huge spike in actually mobile attacks.
Anyways, let's move on from that. I think you and I could probably take a whole segment on just talking about too good to be true. What else is on your personal list?
My personal list is SSL certifications. It's something really easy to check when you actually get to that website, especially with all these Black Friday deals. Sometimes you'll be going to a website that you don't necessarily frequent, that's not Amazon or Fry's or some of these big name places, like let's say camping gear. I'm an avid camper. If I wanted to buy a new tent or a new sleeping bag, I might not go to Amazon. I'd go to a third-party retailer. And for their website, I'm always going to check to make sure that they have an SSL certification, to make sure that it's HTTPS. And that just means that my information is encrypted. So if I'm going to be, using any online payment, I want to make sure that all of that information is encrypted and protected.
So I have a pet peeve about that right now, and I don't know about you about this, but I actually despise and hate the fact that there are entities out there that says only buy with places from SSL certs, because the fact that they have an SSL cert, that lock in that browser, means that they are a legitimate shopping place. And I find that to be actually some of the most irresponsible form of security awareness out there.
Yeah, because that's actually not true. It's not entirely difficult to actually set up a fake website and throw on an SSL cert, but it's definitely something that is required. I have to see it. If it doesn't have one of those, I won't click on anything on it. I'm going to leave that website immediately.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to know, to making sure that information is actually encrypted as you're going back and forth. But I think in terms of trust, we shouldn't inherently trust a website that the website or the retailer on the opposite side is legitimate, because they actually have that lock in that browser. It's especially the fact that Google more or less now influences search engine optimization, the SEOs, with that SSL cert. So everyone and their mothers have been actually getting these SSL certs so they can keep their search engine rankings. You got anything else on your list?
Just have alert monitoring on. So that includes your credit card accounts, your social media accounts. Everybody, like let's say you've ever gone to university and you're using one of the university's computers, you log into your Gmail. You get an email saying, oh, this, new account location logged on. You basically want to have that for your social media accounts and for your banking especially. Just have these alerts to know when your card's being used, to make sure if somebody does get a hold of it by some means, you can get right on top of it with flagging it as fraud to make sure it doesn't get snowball out of control. So just turn on alert monitoring. Make sure that you know who's using what.
So I might be the paranoid person in the SuperCrew here, but I have my alert monitoring set to anything above $1. I get an alert. I know I might be absolutely insane about that, but I actually appreciate the fact that anything above $1 I get pinged about, mainly because this way I know something is actually happening, any dollar or size amount. And believe me, it's annoying. I get a lot of these messages, but it's actually at the same time a godsend, because I know at least my credit card was used somewhere in close to real time.
Yeah, and the other thing that's good about having it set at such a low threshold as $1 is sometimes people, when they first get your credit card information, they'll try and just see if they can. So they'll go to the store and just buy a bag of chips, which might total to be, $1.10 after tax. So if they find out that they can use the card for the chips, then they start moving up to gas and bigger things until they basically throw away the card because they're not comfortable with using it anymore, because you start noticing those larger transactions.
Now, something I've been noticing of, and I don't know if you've read the terms of service as of late, but I'm starting to notice that some credit card companies are using your mobile phone as a means to determine whether that transaction is authorized. So like, for example, American Express, I believe, and I might be wrong, so you might want to correct me on that, but American Express actually uses my app in my phone to determine if a transaction should be legitimate, because I carry my phone with me everywhere. And if there's a certain distance between my phone and my credit card, it actually sets off an alert and say, is this your legitimate purchase?
I wouldn't know about if they do use that, but that sounds like a cool additional feature to actually verify. I wouldn't trust it solely, but it's always good to have the extra layers.
Yeah, I appreciate that if they are doing it. I can never get a confirmation from them on that, but what else? All right. Anything on the technology side that you got? What should people do?
Social engineering, you got to be careful of that. So you do see a lot of these ad campaigns that just kind of get blasted. They're usually a lot easier to spot. Something like the Nigerian prince wanting to give away money. That's one of the more famous ones that everybody's kind of heard. Last tax season as well, the phone call of the IRS saying that you've committed tax fraud. That was another one that a lot of people got. But they're starting to get really sophisticated now, where they'll actually specify one for you. So if they find out that you are really into makeup, they might send you a social engineering campaign that's specifically for makeup to try and get you to click on a bad link. which is why I always check those links in the emails, who they're from.
I'm actually more nervous about the charities this time of year. I mean, this year is, especially this time of season, it is all about the charitable givings. Hey, would you consider sponsoring some kids who don't have toys for this holidays and stuff like that? And
absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, there are legitimate causes out there that is worthwhile donating to, but it's just also amazing how many not legitimate causes are there out there as well.
Yeah, they'll pull on your heartstrings. I mean, any way that they can get you to give away your money. And outside of a cybersecurity notice, just if you are going to donate and be charitable, thank you for that. But also check the background of whatever organization you're donating to. Different ones have different percentages of your dollar that actually go towards the cause. So always just make sure you check that, because I know some organizations, they'll have pennies, just 10, 15 cents of the dollar you donate actually goes to the cause.
Oh, that's terrible. All your money, you think that 100% of the money that you donate goes to the cause, and it's only pennies on the dollar that goes there.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So on my list, I have is the fraud alerts with not just the credit cards, but with any of the banks that you do. Mainly because, wow, it's just amazing how many people are leaving receipts around with actually, hey, who their banking entities are. So on my banks, I like to flag any transactions of money that's coming in or going out, because it's like, hey, what's going on here? It's insane just to see how many people are actually possibly losing money, not just because of fraud, but also from the business email compromise. And actually, there was a fun story, I think, that was posted in, I forgot what it was a group. Oh, it was Waterloo Brewing. This weekend, they lost 1.2 million Canadian dollars in a business email compromise because they were social engineering. They were actually targeting their finance groups to say, hey, send me some money here and I will send it. I was absolutely amazed. A company. And by the way, it's personal. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure some of our listeners really, really love the beer. But I think once you start touching beer, it's personal at that point.
You've crossed the line.
So it's amazing to actually see how much people would do on that one.
Yeah. Another little PSA for consumers is keep your receipts. Actually ask for receipts. That makes validating real transactions a lot easier. And then it actually lets you get rid of fraudulent activity much quicker. And you were telling me about the Apple Pay and actually some of its benefits.
Yeah. I love using what we call virtual credit card numbers. And Apple is probably the gold standard on that, especially with Apple Pay. For those of you who are Android users, I'm sorry, you can hate on us later. But from the Apple perspective, it's actually amazing. We have the physical card itself, which has one card number. And then, of course, the Apple Pay itself issues a different card number. But in conjunction with one's phone, they actually also have a virtual credit card number that's consistently on hand. And it allows you to shop online at different places. And I absolutely love it because if that card gets compromised, like several years back when Target got hacked and credit card numbers went out the door, you just click in the Apple Wallet and say, hey, generate a new credit card number, and I have a new credit card number. And I absolutely love that because that means I burn that number, the bad guys have nothing, and I walk away, can go on my merry way and not have to stress about stuff that is beyond my control.
Yeah, I mean, that just totally beats having to get a new card and have it shipped out to you. I can't think of anything easier as far as replacing credit cards than just clicking a button.
And what's also great, too, is a lot of these places are actually allowing for Apple Pay transactions now. I mean, I walked into Target the other day. It's now accepting Apple Pay. I go to this store, it accepts Apple Pay. And actually does a small pet peeve of mine of companies who actually did accept Apple Pay and they walked away and they no longer have it. I'm like, why? It doesn't make any sense. They want you to go back to the chip method. It's just like
they had it and then removed it.
They removed it.
That's unfortunate. I wonder what the move behind that is. Because they already paid for the technology.
I don't know either. It just blew my mind. I'm like, I know this institution used it, and for whatever reason they yanked it out, and I don't know why. I'm not sure why it didn't end up on the wish list of technology things, but it didn't. I'm like, okay. Nothing could do. One could do. But hey, it is what it is. Other things I would like to always on my list: going to trusted places to shop. I know a lot of people think you only can go to a handful of locations and venues, but seriously, take the time to actually do some research on these places if you actually have any suspicions on them. I don't know about you, but I actually visit sometimes the various deal websites, mainly because there's a long history of shopping with these folks. So if there's a true, really, really good deal, some of these like deal websites would actually be posting about these deals consistently from time on and time off. And you can hear from a crowdsourced perspective of who's actually legitimately offering those deals and who's actually just scamming you and trying to collect your email address or your payment information, one or the other. Either way, trust the places. Absolutely must be conscious about that. I know that means most people are going to be thinking, okay, I can't go shop on Joe's website. No, if you know where Joe's website, the company actually is, and they literally are down the street from you, go shop from there. But at the same time, be mindful if Joe's shop is somewhere across the country, you may not know. So got to be conscious about that kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a few other ones, making sure one's devices are patched. And when I'm talking about patched, I'm talking about the phones, I'm talking about the tablets, I'm talking about the computers. It's absolutely amazing to see how many people's computers aren't properly patched, or their tablets or their phones. It's absolutely amazing. And I think, and I know I'm cycling back to our beginning of the episode a little bit, but all the ransomware attacks that we're seeing right now, a lot of them are from
exploits.
Exactly. They're just not patching their devices. And you kind of go, why? You're just having this, you just think Homer Simpson, you go, no, like, what the heck?
Yeah, that means everybody out there, when you get that little Windows notification that says Windows update ready, restart now, or remind me later, just for once, take the 5 minutes, do the restart now, just go make yourself some tea or hot chocolate for the winter season, and then come back and you can rest a little easier knowing that you aren't going to get hit by anything known. Your computer is patched.
Or heck, Thursday morning, Thanksgiving, 8 a.m. Start the Windows update. Start the Mac updates. Patch your system and devices. Go enjoy dinner and turkey and everything like that. And by the time you get ready for shopping at 6, 7 o'clock at night when you have to, they're all ready to go at that time. It doesn't take the whole day. I don't know about you. I've seen this before. I don't know if you've seen this as of late, Connor. I've seen IT folks and news media as of late telling people to turn off Windows updates.
I have not seen that, but I can't even think of a reason why. Not even a small one.
Well, their reasons is because Microsoft has been releasing buggy patches. And don't get me wrong, I completely empathize that there are buggy patches that Microsoft does release. It does cause problems. Don't get me wrong, but it should not be the sole reason why to disable Windows updates.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, that might be a good reason if you don't want to have something break. But if you look at actually what's going on during the Windows updates, most of it's just security. A lot of times it's not actually really going to affect anything you're doing. And I mean, maybe you do have a slight glitch. I'd take a slight glitch over getting hacked any day of the week.
Oh yeah, imagine having to... I mean, you lose maybe a computer, a little bit of the operational aspects, but at least you have your data. You have your information. You have your grandchildren's photos. You have your tax documents. When ransomware rolls through, God knows what you have left. All right. So anything else? Anything on your list? Because the only thing left on my list right now is good antivirus. And by the way, when I say good antivirus, I'm not talking about Symantec or McAfee. I'm talking about the professional grade stuff that it's very, very, very hard to get right now.
So one of the first things you actually learn, it's on like day 2 of the hacker bootcamp, is how to actually get past some of the common household antiviruses. So like Norton, Windows Defender, McAfee, those sort of things, they have known weaknesses, and you actually learn what those are and how to get around them. So you just have to be careful of which ones you're actually using.
I think it's just more so it's the technology. It's not even the weakness in the software. It's just the weakness in the approach, because antivirus is only as effective as what it's seen before. And if it's seen something absolutely brand new, it doesn't even work. It just goes, oh, something brand new. All right, we're going to let it through.
Yeah, or some of them, even if you just have a compressed folder, for the longest time, that's how you could get past a lot of antiviruses. It's just make it a zip, and then it wasn't able to scan the content, or just let it through.
All right, let's wrap things up. What's the if people skip through this or they need to share something over like a dinner party? What's the pro tip that people should be mindful of?
Just careful who you trust, where you're shopping. I'd say that's the number one thing. Just go somewhere that you can trust, absolutely, and then just don't trust most of the things that you get. Be very skeptical of everything you see.
Yeah. For me, just thinking about that people will always be that weakest link. I know people says, hey, it's never going to happen to me. It's not going to, this is not going to happen to me, or that's not going to happen to me because I'm really, really smart. Hey, it even gets the best of people. So just be mindful, and even have a set of plans on hand, especially like have phone numbers ready to go to call your bank or anything like that to freeze the money, because the last thing you want to do is trying to claw back dollars where God knows where those dollars are floating around. So those are your top tips, folks, and we hope this episode was helpful for you. Join us next time, and we hope to make this a beautiful series. Again, this is our holiday shopping podcast, consumer edition, to do a business one in the coming weeks. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Don't forget to hit a like. If there is a episode or topic or some sort of news items or some sort of trend that you want to hear and talk about and have that conversation, drop us a note in the comments, and we'll hopefully feature it in a future show. Have a great one. Eat lots of turkey, and happy Thanksgiving, folks. And happy Thanksgiving, Connor.
And you too, Josh.